Teslacam, I hope you're satisfied.
Marcel was driving home in his Model X one rainy night on the German Autobahn. As he approached a semi-truck, the driver started to merge into his lane. Marcel didn't react in time to avoid a collision, so he lost control and crashed into the trailer. Marcel was alone in the car, and he was fortunately uninjured. The truck driver said he didn't think the accident was his fault, and that it was actually Marcel's fault for crashing into him. Police arrived while they continued to argue. The police were able to view the Teslacam footage inside Marcel's Tesla right there on the highway, and they immediately found the truck driver to be 100% at fault for making an unsafe lane change. Marcel filed an insurance claim with the truck driver's insurance provider, and since the initial repair estimate from Tesla was $60,000 US, the car has been deemed a total loss. Matt was driving his Model Y in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and as he approached an intersection, an oncoming driver turned right into the car ahead of him. Matt stopped and called 911. Thankfully, no one was injured. He also exchanged contact info with the driver who'd been hit so he could send her his Teslacam footage. She later contacted him and asked for the Teslacam footage to use in her insurance claim. Billy was waiting at a red light when an Audi pulled up next to his car and someone inside tossed a coffee cup on the ground before running the red light. The Audi driver was so preoccupied checking for cross traffic that he didn't notice the pedestrian right in front of him. The pedestrian got so mad that he struck the hood hard enough that Billy heard it from inside his Tesla with all the windows rolled up. After that, the Audi driver stayed put. David was driving his Model 3 in San Francisco, California. While slowing down, he saw a truck preparing to make a left turn. David honked a couple of times because it was clear to him that the truck driver didn't have a good view of oncoming traffic. Unfortunately, he thinks the driver must not have heard his horn. After stopping, David provided his Teslacam footage to the police. They talked to everyone else before talking to David, but they told him after watching the video that they should have just talked to him first, as the footage clearly showed them exactly what had happened. The Teslacam never lies. In this next video, Austin witnessed a very similar accident while he was driving his Model Y in Silver Spring, Maryland. As he drove through an intersection, a red car made a left turn but didn't see an oncoming car and got T-boned. Austin didn't stop since there were many other witnesses that stopped to help. Here we have almost the exact same scenario, but from the point of view of the oncoming car that had a car turn out in front of it. This video is from Scott, who was driving with his wife Nikki when a Mazda made an unsafe turn right in front of them. Scott braked hard to avoid an accident. As soon as it happened, they both looked at each other and said, "Wham bam Teslacam, I hope you're satisfied," before hitting the save button. Thanks, Scott and Nikki. We are satisfied. Kevin and his friend had left their cars parked in a Starbucks parking lot when the driver of a BMW parked next to his friend's Honda Civic. He checked the parking lot to see if the coast was clear. Then he checked the Honda to see if there was anything inside he might want. That's when he saw Kevin's friend had a backpack in the car. After one last quick look around, he broke the car's window and grabbed the bag. Fortunately, Kevin's friend had nothing valuable in the backpack. As the BMW driver was leaving, he noticed another car was heading his way. So he pulled back into his parking spot and waited until the coast was clear before leaving. But the guy still wasn't finished. After he broke into Kevin's friend's car, he chose another victim, peeking into her car right after she'd left. Luckily, she returned moments later, and the guy barely made it back into his car without being caught. Kevin's friend immediately contacted the police when they discovered what had happened, but unfortunately they couldn't identify the perpetrator using his license plate number because he was using fake plates. A couple of days later, he filed a report and gave the police the video, but he hasn't received any updates since then. It's been 2 weeks since the crime was committed. Jeremiah was driving his Model X in Castle Rock, Colorado after the first snow and freeze of the year. Jeremiah thought that both the SUV and the BMW took off way too fast considering the weather conditions, and moments later he was proven correct. The SUV hit an ice patch and lost control. Jeremiah says he also felt the ice in his Model X, but he had the benefit of all-wheel drive and good traction control. After stopping, Jeremiah checked to make sure the driver was okay. Emergency services arrived just a few minutes later. Tim was driving with his girlfriend on a tour through her college town when this robot decided it had the right of way. Ha! What kind of robot is this? Leave a comment if you know. Tim says they got a chuckle out of it, especially when some guy on a Segway proceeded to chase after it. Scott was rolling down the highway in the rain when he started getting showered with sparks. Someone thought it was a good idea to drive while missing a rear wheel, but hey, at least they had their hazard lights on. This submitter had parked his Model 3 at a kids' sporting event in Australia when he got a push notification on his phone telling him that the alarm had been triggered. He rushed to his car and found scratches and dents on the rear bumper, as well as this Sentry mode footage of a BMW backing into him. The BMW was nowhere to be found. The driver had taken off, unaware of the video evidence they'd left behind. The submitter sent the video to his insurance company, and they're pursuing the BMW driver for compensation. Sentry mode saves the day again. Pat was driving his Model 3 in Toulouse, France. When his light turned green, a BMW M5 pulled off alongside him. The BMW kept getting really close to him, and when Pat reached the next red light, he changed lanes to take his turn. The Tesla's regenerative braking slowed the car down really fast, but apparently the BMW driver missed his brake pedal. The BMW owner thought Pat was responsible and absolutely refused to recognize he'd lost control of his vehicle. He finally changed his tune after seeing the Teslacam footage and when Pat told him he'd sent it to his insurance company. The BMW M5 was heavily damaged. The Tesla's rear bumper cover was broken, but it wasn't too bad considering. David was driving his Model 3 near Wellingborough, England. At a roundabout, the driver ahead of him went into the left turn lane, but then decided at the last minute they wanted to go straight instead. This caused them to narrowly avoid hitting the rear of David's Tesla. David figures they came within inches of hitting him, although David did say he needed to change his underwear after this happened. Brad was on his way to work in Dallas, Texas, when the driver of a Volkswagen Jetta on his right was trying to change lanes, and Brad slowed down to let him in. The Jetta driver changed lanes in front of him and went to the leftmost lane to take a left turn at the next light. For whatever reason, he then changed his mind and came back to the lane to Brad's left. When the light turned green, the Jetta got in front of Brad's Tesla before slowing down, and the passenger rolled down her window, gave Brad the finger, and flashed some cash. Brad was really confused about what was going on. What was the point of all this? The driver then proceeded to lean out the passenger window to scream at Brad, but he was playing music, so he has no idea what was said. Then, the Jetta driver tried to sideswipe him. Brad thought this whole interaction was interesting to say the least, and maybe a little scary. He still has no idea what aggravated the Jetta driver or his passenger. John was driving his Model 3 in Summerville, South Carolina. He was sitting at a red light, and when his light turned green, a pickup truck turned out in front of him. The truck farted black smoke all over his Tesla. Let's run our usual poll, shall we? Was this driver intentionally rolling coal on John? Or is obliterating air quality just a side effect of accelerating a diesel pickup truck? Jason was driving his Model Y in Toms River, New Jersey. Just as his light turned green, a pickup truck decided to skip the traffic by driving on the wrong side of the road in Jason's lane. Jason flashed his headlights and shook his head. He also asked us to give a shout out to his daughters who watch our videos every week. Hey there, Ava and Anna. Thanks for watching. Matt was heading to an early morning tennis game in St. Louis, Missouri in his Model 3. It was pitch black outside, and he had his high beams on and was actively scanning the road. All of a sudden, an owl flew out of a tree and right in front of his Tesla. He barely avoided clipping its wing. Phew! You don't want to mess with the owls. Hogwarts would not be happy. Andy and his fiancée were driving at about 60 miles per hour on a road trip to Avamore in the Scottish Highlands. As they came over a crest, they saw white lights on their side of the road. As soon as Andy realized there was an oncoming vehicle in their lane, he braked as hard as he could. He doesn't think the Tesla reacted and Autopilot wasn't active. Andy says that it was absolutely pitch black and that the Teslacam video shows the scene far clearer than his eyes could see that night. For that reason, he says the video makes it look like he braked late. It was a close call, but both Andy and the semi-truck driver managed to come to a complete stop. Please be careful out there. Speaking of being careful, this next video shows something that Tesla owners don't have to worry about. We've already seen that Sentry Mode can help solve crimes. Chris had parked his Model 3 in a commuter parking lot in Williamsburg, Virginia. Sentry Mode was triggered when an SUV pulled up behind the Tesla and a guy got out and approached the car parked next to it. It turns out he was stealing gas from the cars in the parking lot. Chris sent the video to local law enforcement and filed a crime report online, but he hasn't heard any updates yet. Harmon was pulling into a drive-thru when he was suddenly attacked by a reversing Honda, and it just kept coming after him. Fearing it was a Honda Bump Pilot, he quickly swerved around it to avoid being hit. Nice move. YouTube just told me that you haven't watched this video yet. Hey, come on, man. Aren't you satisfied? Click now to go watch the video.